Wu Yixian actually dared to come? I thought she had secretly left Donghai City long ago. Sigh, Senior Wu is still too proud. In this situation, not coming might have saved her some face, but coming means she's probably in grave danger today. For a moment, the playground was filled with whispers, and everyone's eyes were focused on the girl who was slowly walking towards the ring. The sunlight shone on Wu Yixian, as if gilding her with a pale golden halo. Even though his clothes were rather simple, and he even looked a bit travel-worn, they couldn't hide the pride and composure that emanated from within. Soon, Wu Yixian stepped onto the arena. You actually dared to come. Bai Weiwei looked at Wu Yixian opposite her and sneered. Why wouldn't you dare? Wu Yixian's voice was indifferent, as if she didn't take Bai Weiwei seriously at all. How disgusting, Bai Weiwei murmured softly, her eyes filled with disgust. She hated Wu Yixian's arrogant attitude, as if no one was as good as her. Even at this point, they still act so superior. Does she still think she's the #1 genius of Donghai City? How laughable! Wu Yixian, today I will personally bring you down to earth and let everyone see who the real genius of Donghai #1 Middle School is. In front of Wu Yixian, Su-han watched this scene with anticipation and amusement in her eyes. I can only say that she is indeed a girl who can form 8 groups in a 4-person dormitory. Does she automatically reject other girls who are outstanding? TSK Tisk. I wonder if she can give me a surprise and let me test my full strength. Thinking about it, Su-han had a thought, and a ring appeared on his little wings. It was an ancient ring, black and gold in color, with a lifelike 5-clawed golden dragon carved on it. It was the same ring that Su-han had obtained in the first level of the True Dragon Inheritance Secret Realm, the death-defying ring. At that moment, Wu Yixian suddenly felt a chill on her chest. She immediately looked down curiously, and in just one glance, she saw a black and gold dragon-carved ancient ring that had appeared on her silly fish's little wing. The cold touch comes from this. Silly fish. Where did you get this ring? Wu Yixian's eyes were full of surprise. She could tell at a glance that this ring was extraordinary. How come I've never seen my silly fish have such an ancient ring before? And there wasn't any on the way to school either. Wu Yixian was puzzled. But seeing Wu Yixian's curiosity, Su-han didn't explain, since the explanation was too complicated and she wouldn't understand anyway. Su-han simply patted her mischievous face and said, Silly girl, leave today to me. Are you going to make a move? Wu Yixian understood what her silly fish meant, and her eyes were full of astonishment. After all, his silly fish is usually too lazy to walk and would rather lie down than sit, but now he actually wants to take action himself? While Wu Yixian was worried, although she knew that her silly fish was not ordinary, Bai Weiwei on the other side had the support of the Yi family, the largest beast-taming group in Donghai City. Even she, the Empress of the Sun and Moon, dared not claim certain victories so easily, especially with her own foolish fish. While Wu Yixian was pondering, Bai Weiwei had already turned her head to look at Bai Di on the high platform. Grandpa, can the competition begin now? Upon hearing this, Bai Di did not answer directly, but instead looked at Yi Tian sitting beside her. Today's competition, on the surface, is a contest between juniors, but in reality, it is the Yi family's purge of Wu Yixian. He was merely a pawn. The real decision rested with the head of the Yi family. Upon hearing this, Yi Tian looked at Wu Yixian on the arena, his eyes flashing with murderous intent, and nodded slightly. Upon seeing this, Bai Di quickly waved his hand, and his loud voice echoed throughout the entire playground. The competition begins. Instantly, Bai Weiwei, who had been waiting for a long time, released her spiritual power with all her might, and a blue aura surrounded her. At the same time, he summoned his natal beast, a huge gale wolf with glowing green eyes. Bai Weiwei, a level 3 beast tamer, please give me your guidance. Wu Yixian simply waved his hand, and an even deeper and more powerful spiritual force completely crushed Bai Weiwei's aura. Level 4 beast tamer Wu Yixian, please. Level 4. Level 4. Bai Weiwei's pupils constricted, and she couldn't believe it. After all, just a few days ago, Wu Yixian was only a level 2 beast tamer. Moreover, she only managed to advance to the 3rd level of beast tamer because she had the support of her family's pills and the help of the Yi family. But Wu Yixian actually became a 4th level beast tamer on her own. I must say, Wu Yixian, you certainly have reason to be proud. Bai Weiwei took a deep breath. The beast you contracted was clearly a useless fish, but you actually leveled up from a level 2 beast tamer to a level 4 beast tamer in just 5 days. Under normal circumstances, I might not be your match, but unfortunately, you've messed with someone you shouldn't have. Today, I'll show you, you frog in a well, what true aristocratic heritage is. Come out, dark demon tiger. With a sharp shout from Bai Weiwei, the ancient jade pendant she wore on her chest suddenly burst forth with a thick, inky black light. A fierce, violent, and destructive pressure descended like Mount Tai crashing down, causing the temperature on the entire playground to plummet. Students with weaker cultivation even felt difficulty breathing, and their legs went weak. Amidst the dark light, a colossal creature slowly materialized. It is over 3 meters long, covered in dark scales, with bulging muscles full of explosive power and sharp claws on its limbs that gleam with cold light, capable of easily tearing through steel. What is most chilling are its scarlet tiger eyes, which are filled with nothing but pure bloodlust. A pale king character mark on its forehead flashes with an eerie light, and the black mist swirling around it twists and turns, as if countless vengeful spirits are wailing. A level 6 beast tamer? Seeing this, Wu Yixian's eyes instantly filled with solemnity. Oh, she sneered and turned her head slightly to look at Yi Tian on the high platform. The Yi family is really something. They're willing to go to great lengths to kill me. At this moment, Wu Yixian's heart was extremely heavy. She knew about the dark demon tiger, a top-tier magical beast that possessed both shadow and evil attributes and whose combat power was immense, enough to rival ordinary level 7 beast tamers. Although she possessed combat experience from her previous life, her cultivation level in this life was ultimately a fatal flaw. The gap between a newly level 4 dark demon tiger and a level 6 peak or even a level 7 dark demon tiger is like an insurmountable chasm. Call. Wu Yixian took a deep breath and looked solemnly at Su Han in her arms. Silly fish. It seems that today, we really are going to have to fight to the death together. Leave this level 6 dark demon tiger to me. And as for Bai Weiwei and that level 3 Gale Wolf, I'm counting on you. Unlike Wu Yixian, whose eyes were filled with determination, Su Han's eyes lit up when he looked at the dark demon tiger. He felt a sense of hunger. I'll take this tiger, but you can keep those 2 little karami as practice. The next second, to Wu Yixian's astonishment, Su Han jumped directly from her arms to in front of the dark demon tiger. Puffed. Bai Weiwei looked at the little fish that jumped in front of the dark demon tiger, sneered, and her eyes were full of contempt. Wu Yixian, is your natal beast scared out of its wits? Or does it know it is doomed and willingly offer up an appetizer for my little darling? Meanwhile, the dark demon tiger looked down at the tiny fish fry at its feet, barely enough to fill a gap in its teeth, a hint of annoyance flashing in its scarlet tiger eyes at being disturbed by an ant. But at this time, the death ring in Su Han's hand suddenly emitted a dark golden light. The next second, a scene that everyone will never forget unfolded. Under the bright sun, daylight turned into night in an instant, and only the dark golden light on the arena became the only source of light in the world. A solar eclipse? Instantly, the entire playground erupted in chaos, everyone stunned by this sudden and unprecedented sight. However, that's not all. The next second, a dark golden dragon phantom soared into the sky from Su Han's death ring, its roar echoing through the heavens. However, the phantom did not rush towards the dark demon tiger. Instead, to everyone's astonishment, it spiraled upwards and suddenly unfolded in midair, transforming into a huge dark golden barrier that enveloped Su Han and the ferocious dark demon tiger. A spatial magic artifact. On the high platform, Yi Tian, who had been sitting calmly, suddenly stood up. He looked at the spatial barrier formed by the death ring, and for the first time, an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. The sudden appearance of this spatial artifact completely disrupted his expectations, causing a strong sense of unease to rise in his heart. Bai Di was even more shocked. How is this possible? How could Wu Yixian possess such a rare spatial magic treasure? And she even gave it to her natal beast. Upon hearing this, Yi Tian forcibly suppressed the turmoil in his heart. He stared intently at the dark golden spatial barrier, his eyes sinister, and said coldly, "What's the panic? It's just relying on external things. No matter how magical a spatial artifact is, it still depends on the user's strength. Do you think that half-dead little fish could be a match for the dark demon tiger once it entered this barrier? They've only courted their own death, finding a new burial place instead. Let's just wait and see." Meanwhile, on the arena, Bai Weiwei was also stunned for a moment by this earth-shattering change, but soon, the astonishment on her face turned into confusion and mockery.
Wu Yixian,
I never expected you to have such a trump card hidden away. You're really willing to spend a fortune, giving such a precious spatial magic treasure to that useless fish. What? You think this will save his life? Or do you really think that piece of trash fish can defeat my dark demon tiger within the barrier? Wu Yixian's heart was also in turmoil at this moment. After all, she knew better than anyone else that she hadn't given her the ring. Silly fish, how many secrets do you still have? Although Wu Yixian was curious, she knew very well that now was not the time to delve into it. She quickly composed herself and looked away from the realm of death. My beast has its own decisions, and I trust it. As for now, as she spoke, Wu Yixian took one last look at the barrier formed by the death-defying ring. Silly fish, since facing the dark demon tiger head-on is your choice, then I, as its master, cannot hold you back. Bai Weiwei, leave her to me. In an instant, Wu Yixian's figure seemed to transform into a wisp of ethereal moonlight, sweeping towards Bai Weiwei with a mysterious and unpredictable gait. Shatter stars with a single finger. Swift wolf, tear her apart. Just as Wu Yixian and Bai Weiwei's battle began, Su Han and the dark demon tiger seemed to be in another world. This is a desolate, lifeless, blood-red space. A strange, blood-red sun hung in the sky. A dark red island lay beneath our feet, and in the distance, an endless sea of blood surged, the air thick with a pungent, salty stench. The dark demon tiger cautiously surveyed the unfamiliar surroundings, instinctively feeling a sense of unease. Soon, its scarlet tiger eyes fixed on the tiny, pitiful figure in front of it, the small fish fry that it could swallow whole. Roar. Oh! Su Han looked at the dark demon tiger roaring at him. You dare to threaten me when you're on my territory? Although the dark demon tiger was not very intelligent, it still sensed Su Han's undisguised contempt, which thoroughly enraged it. It is the noble dark demon tiger, a killing weapon carefully cultivated by the Yi family. Roar. It roared again, as if to say, Little brat, don't think I'll be afraid of you just because you brought me here. You're just playing tricks. At the same time, its tiger's mouth opened wide, and a highly compressed ball of dark energy, full of destructive aura, quickly condensed. This was its innate skill, Shadow Roar Bullet. Little one? Su Han looked at the massage tiger and human-like twisted his neck to stretch his muscles. The next second, the image reflected in the dark demon tiger's pupils, filled with savagery and murderous intent, caused its massive body to stiffen abruptly. Suddenly, a dazzling golden blue light burst forth from the small fish in front of them. Its size began to grow wildly in an instant. 1 meter, 10 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters. In the blink of an eye, the tiny creature that was barely enough to fill its teeth had transformed into a colossal beast 50 meters tall. Its entire body was covered with blue, white, and gold scales, and its streamlined body was full of power. A bloodline pressure that was far more ancient, more majestic, and more terrifying than itself swept through the entire death realm like a tsunami. The dark demon tiger, with its over 3-meter-long body, looked like a real kitten in front of Su Han. It looked up at the mountain-like behemoth, and in its scarlet tiger eyes, the savagery and killing intent were instantly replaced by boundless fear and disbelief. The suppression originating from the depths of its bloodline made its limbs go weak, almost causing it to prostrate itself on the ground. What kind of monster is this? Where's the fish? However, that's not all. Golden azure Dharma body, open. Boom. Instantly, an even more magnificent golden blue light erupted from Su Han's body, and his size expanded wildly once again. 70 meters, 90 meters, 100 meters. Finally, a colossal beast, over 100 meters long, stood tall beneath the blood-red sun. The dark demon tiger was as insignificant as an ant before him. Su Han felt the immense power within his body, enough to overturn rivers and seas, and nodded in satisfaction. Then, he lowered his enormous head, his golden blue eyes, like those of a small lake, looking at the trembling kitten below with a mocking gaze.
Now.
Which of us is the little one? The terrifying pressure was so real that the dark demon tiger completely collapsed. It trembled all over and didn't even have the courage to look up. Su Han chuckled and shook his head. Little kitty, I still prefer your unruly self from just now. However, I have something to do. The next second, Su Han suddenly soared into the sky. kun-pan fighting technique. Kun-pan soars to the sky. Cry. A cry, seemingly from the primordial chaos, tore through the sky. Behind Su Han, endless golden light converged, and a phantom of a golden-winged rock with wingspans that blotted out the sky materialized. The rock was incredibly majestic. With a flap of its wings, it swooped down towards the little kitten below with the momentum to tear the sky apart. The dark demon tiger let out a desperate roar, but its instinct for survival still drove it to fight to the death. It gathered all the dark energy in its body and released its innate skill, Shadow Roar Bullet, to meet the swooping phantom of the golden-winged rock. However, it's like an ant trying to shake a tree. Su Han showed no intention of defending against the dark demon tiger's attack. Perhaps Su Han lacked demonic power, which prevented him from defeating a top-tier demonic beast at the late stage of the beast taming level. But defense? With the dual blessing of the true dragon body and the golden azure Dharma body, his physical defense was already so strong that it was beyond the imagination of ordinary magical beasts. Even a level 7 magical beast, the dark demon tiger. Its full-force attack did not cause any damage to Su Han. Destroy. Su Han's indifferent voice rang out. He, accompanied by the phantom of the golden-winged rock, crashed fiercely into the dark demon tiger and the isolated island where it was located. Rumble. The sea of blood churned, unleashing towering waves. The light faded. At that moment, the isolated island was pierced through, and the dark demon tiger was smashed into the seabed by Su Han's blow, beyond any hope of survival. Sold out instantly. A true instant kill. Su Han looked at the corpse of the dark demon tiger and shook his head. The magical beasts are still not enough. But what if it's a demon beast like Suming Yue's white fox beast taming, or a ferocious beast, a divine beast, or even one of the 10 ancient ferocious beasts? But soon, he stopped worrying, and his huge body began to shrink rapidly, transforming back into the seemingly harmless little fish fry. I don't know if Silly Girl is a match for Bai Weiwei and her beast taming, but she should be fine, right? With a thought, Su Han caused the blood-red sun in the sky to suddenly shrink, transforming back into a dark golden ring. The endless sea of blood and the desolate land receded like the tide, returning to nothingness. Outside, on the playground of Donghai No. 1 Middle School. At this moment, everyone was staring intently at the dark golden spatial barrier and at Wu Yixian and Bai Weiwei, who were engaged in a fierce battle outside the barrier.
Sudden. Puffed.
At this moment, Bai Weiwei, who was fighting against Wu Yixian, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and her aura instantly weakened. This is Wu Yixian's eyes were filled with surprise and doubt. But soon, as if she had thought of something, she suddenly looked at the dark golden spatial barrier to the side. Although the second tamed beast is not the natal tamed beast and will not be bound to its master through life and death, the host will still inevitably suffer a backlash if the tamed beast dies. So, silly fish one. While Wu Yixian was pondering, buzz. At this moment, the surface of the dark gold barrier began to ripple and then vanished like a bubble in an instant. Where the barrier disappeared, a scene unfolded. Her little gold, blue, and white fry was leisurely, its tail resting on the ground, and it even yawned. Beneath the fry lay a huge, lifeless corpse. It was Bai Weiwei's second beast, the previously imposing level 6 magical beast, the dark demon evil tiger.
Hiss.
Seeing this scene, the entire playground of Donghai No. 1 Middle School instantly fell into an eerie, deathly silence. All eyes were fixed on the arena. No! On the center of the arena, on the lazy little fish yawning, and on the huge, majestic, but lifeless corpse of the dark demon tiger beneath it. The stark visual contrast and the absolute subversion of the ending caused everyone's brains to briefly freeze. Dead? It wasn't that the dark demon tiger instantly killed the little fish, but rather, that little fish killed the level 6 magical beast, the dark demon tiger, so quickly? How is this possible? That's impossible. On the high platform, Bai Di, the principal of Donghai City No. 1 Middle School, was filled with shock. His finger trembled as he pointed at the corpse of the dark demon tiger. The dark demon tiger possesses top-tier magical beast bloodline, and it's already at level 6. How could it possibly be? Bai Di looked at Wu Yixian's natal beast, the little fish, and couldn't bring himself to say anything more. Yi Tian's face was so gloomy it could drip water. His previous composure and sitting calmly on the sidelines had vanished without a trace, replaced by a shock and anger that the situation was completely out of control. He stared intently at Su Han, his eyes sharp as knives, as if he wanted to dissect this little fish from the inside out and see it clearly. A level 4 monster killing a level 6 monster. Absolutely impossible. Yi Tian squeezed out those words through gritted teeth. Bai Di nodded. After all, challenging someone of a higher level is already incredibly difficult, let alone killing someone 2 levels higher. Unless, instantly, their eyes met, and they both saw the same shocking guess in each other's eyes. Unless, Wu Yixian's natal beast is not an ordinary little fish, nor is it a magical beast. It's a monster. The ranks of beast taming are divided into wild beasts, magical beasts, monsters, alien species, ferocious beasts, and divine beasts, as well as the legendary beings that stand at the pinnacle of all demon races, the most mysterious and powerful, and whom no one has ever been able to contract with, the 10 ancient fiends. At the same level, the higher the rank, the stronger the power. The dark demon tiger already possesses top-tier magical beast bloodline. They couldn't think of any other possibility besides demonic beasts. A demonic beast? These 3 words, like a boulder thrown into a calm lake, instantly stirred up a monstrous wave on the playground. A monster? My God! That inconspicuous little fish fry was actually a monster? Hiss! In the entire East Sea City, only 2 geniuses have awakened their demonic beasts this year, and our No. 1 high school. Our No. 1 high school actually has won? No wonder. No wonder Senior Wu Yixian was so calm before. It turns out her beast taming rank is higher. Exclamations and whispers swept across the entire playground like a tsunami, and everyone's eyes were focused on Su Han, filled with shock, horror, and disbelief. While everyone was in shock, Su Han looked at Bai Weiwei, who had lost her ability to fight, and didn't bother with these ignorant humans. You are the monsters. Your whole family are monsters. Su Han leaped back to her assigned seat. He pointed to the corpse of the dark demon tiger at Wu Yixian and then fell into a deep sleep. Although the dark demon tiger posed little threat to Su Han wanted to see just how strong he was at his full power, so he was a little tired after that attack. Looking at the sleeping Su Han, Wu Yixian gently stroked Su Han's fish body, her heart filled with emotion. It seems that in order to defeat the dark demon tiger and avoid danger to yourself, you also. Thinking it over, Wu Yixian waved her hand and, following Su Han's instructions, put the corpse of the dark demon tiger into her storage ring. She glanced at Bai Weiwei, who had fallen into a coma, then turned to Bai Di, the principal of number 1 middle school, who was sitting on the high platform. Principal, I think I am now qualified to take the college entrance examination, right? Upon hearing this, Bai Di did not respond immediately. Although he really wanted Wu Yixian, this genius, to represent number 1 high school in the college entrance examination, Yi Tian was right next to him. You should know that Yi Tian specifically requested that Wu Yixian be buried with a son. A genius may not necessarily grow up, but the Yi family now could crush him at any time. No. Yi Tian suddenly stood up, his voice icy cold and filled with undisguised killing intent, interrupting Bai Di's dilemma. He now only wants Wu Yixian dead, especially if Wu Yixian becomes a genius again. Since a feud has already been formed, we must nip it in the bud before it gains strength. My sister wants to take the college entrance exam, and you're saying no? Just then, a bright young girl emerged from the crowd, carrying a white fox, followed by an old man. The girl was pretty and had a touch of naive innocence, while the white fox in her arms lazily squinted its eyes. The old man following behind her was dressed in a simple gray robe, with a thin face, and was very ordinary, so ordinary that he seemed to disappear instantly in a crowd.
But
upon seeing the newcomer, Yi Tian, who had been so arrogant just moments before, suddenly had his pupils shrink and felt a surge of shock in his heart. Wu Yixian, she actually has a relationship with the daughter of the city lord of Liju City. Compared to Yi Tian's confusion and fear, Bai Di, seeing a strange girl dare to openly question him and Yi Tian, frowned, adopted the principal's authority, and sternly shouted, "Which class are you in? Such poor manners. Who gave you the right to speak here? If you dare to be disrespectful again, believe me, I'll call your parents right now." So noisy. Before Bai Di could finish speaking, the gray-robed old man, Mu Qingfeng, frowned impatiently and casually waved his sleeve. In an instant, a stream of azure spiritual energy flowed, heading straight for Bai Di. Instantly, Bai Di felt an irresistible pressure envelop his entire body. His eyes were filled with terror. He could clearly see the trajectory of that spiritual energy, but he couldn't even lift a finger. I'm a beast tamer. How could I? The thought had barely crossed his mind when a light blue aura was imprinted on his chest. Puff! The next second, Bai Di was sent flying backward, crashing heavily into the wall of the platform behind him with a thud. He then slid to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood, his face instantly turning ashen. The old man's gaze was filled with confusion and fear. Su Mingyue didn't even glance at Bai Di, but walked straight to Wu Yixian's side. The coldness she had shown when facing Yi Tian and Bai Di instantly melted into a sweet smile, and she affectionately took Wu Yixian's arm. "Sister Yixian, don't worry, leave it to me." Then, she turned to Bai Di, who was slumped on the ground, and said with a hint of mockery, "Call me my parent? Okay. My name is Su Mingyue. My father is Su Tianshuang, the governor of Donghai Province, the number 1 person in Donghai Province, a king-level beast tamer, and the city lord of Liju City. Go and call him here. Or, my godfather is right next to me." As she spoke, Su Mingyue pointed to Mu Qingfeng. "My godfather, Mu Qingfeng, is the deputy governor of Donghai Province, the second most powerful person in Donghai Province, a peak-level monarch-level beast tamer, and the grand priest of Liju City. If you have any questions, you can talk to him." The governor's daughter? The grand tutor? Bai Di was struck dumb, his whole body stiffening. With difficulty, he turned his neck to look at Yi Tian beside him, his eyes full of questioning. "Lord Yi, is this true?" Yi Tian completely ignored Bai Di and quickly stepped forward, bowing deeply to Su Mingyue and Mu Qingfeng. Yi Tian greets Lord Mu and young city Lord Mingyue. "I was unaware of your arrival and apologize for not welcoming you properly." Yi Tian knew Su Mingyue's identity. After all, When Su Mingyue first arrived, City Lord Gao Yi had already sent someone to inform him. Bai Di, who had just spoken, still had some doubts about Su Mingyue's identity. After all, a strange young girl suddenly appeared and claimed to be the daughter of Su Tianshuang, the governor of Donghai province. But now, seeing Yi Tian's reaction completely shattered the last shred of hope in Bai Di's heart. He scrambled to his feet, not even bothering to wipe the blood from his mouth, and repeatedly bowed to Su Mingyue and Mu Qingfeng in apology. I wouldn't dare. Young city lord, please forgive me. Lord Mu, please forgive me. I was blind and offended you both. Oh, Su Mingyue sneered. Dare not. Is there anything you, Principal Bai, wouldn't dare to do? If you really wouldn't dare, then who took away my sister Yixian's eligibility for the college entrance examination? Upon hearing this, Bai Di was so frightened he almost jumped out of his skin. He quickly apologized with a forced smile. It's a misunderstanding. It's all a huge misunderstanding. Young city lord, I mistakenly thought that Wu Yixian's beast taming was useless. Well, lacking, so I forbade her from taking the college entrance examination for her safety. Now that the truth has come out, Wu Yixian has proven herself to be a genius among 100. I guarantee this in the name of the principal of Donghai City No. 1 High School. No one dares to stop her from taking the college entrance examination. Looking at Bai Di, Su Mingyue sneered again. It had to be that way. Then, she looked at Yi Tian beside her and asked, Lord Yi, what about you? Do you have any thoughts about my sister Yixian taking the college entrance examination? Yi Tian felt a chill run down his spine as he sensed Mu Qingfeng's seemingly calm yet unfathomable gaze, and quickly lowered his head, saying, I wouldn't dare. I have absolutely no intention of doing so. Everything is left to the young city lord's arrangements. Seeing this, Su Mingyue nodded in satisfaction. I know that your Yi family may have some other ideas. But I'll put it this way, we young people should resolve our own issues. You older generation had better behave yourselves and not interfere. She paused, her voice suddenly turning cold. Otherwise, if my sister Yixian or her tamed beast were to lose even a single hair or suffer the slightest injustice, then don't blame me, blame all of you. Instantly, Mu Qingfeng, who was standing behind Su Mingyue, experienced a surge in his aura.
Boom.
An immense, mountain-like pressure descended suddenly, precisely enveloping Yi Tian. Snort. Yi Tian let out a muffled groan, feeling as if an entire mountain had pressed down on his shoulders. His knees buckled, and with a thud, he was forced to kneel on the ground. Veins bulged on his forehead, and cold sweat instantly soaked his back. I will remember the teachings of the young city master. Yi Tian squeezed out these words through gritted teeth, his heart filled with humiliation, but even more so with fear of absolute power. A monarch-level beast tamer, that's terrifying. Su Mingyue gave Yi Tian, who was kneeling on the ground, and Bai Di, who was silent as a cicada in fear, one last cold glance, and then ignored them. The coldness on his face melted away, replaced by a bright smile, and he affectionately took Wu Yixian's arm. Let's go, Sister Yixian, let's go home. A warm feeling welled up in Wu Yixian's heart, and she nodded. Mingyue, thank you, and thank you Grandpa Mu too. Why are you being so polite with me? But sister, you won't blame me for not dealing with them both directly, will you? No, you've done enough. Wu Yixian shook her head, glanced at Bai Di and Yi Tian behind her who were still in shock, and narrowed her eyes slightly. I will personally handle those two in the future. I believe in my sister. With a grin, Su Mingyue pulled Wu Yixian along, and under the complex gazes of teachers and students, a mixture of awe, envy, and shock, she and Mu Qingfeng left the playground together. I watched Wu Yixian and Su Mingyue's departing figures until they completely disappeared from the school gate. Yi Tian slowly stood up from the ground, his face so gloomy it was almost dripping with water. He patted the dust off his knees, his eyes filled with resentment and lingering fear. Lord Yi, what should we do next? Bai Di clutched her still painful chest and asked in a trembling voice, her face completely drained of color. Having offended the daughter of the governor of Donghai province and the Grand Master, he felt that his time as principal was over. Yi Tian took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing the anger and fear in his heart, his voice hoarse and cold. What else can we do? The Su family, let alone my Yi family, even if the entire Donghai city were to unite, we wouldn't dare to offend them. That little princess's words are the rule. As he spoke, his gaze turned sinister as he looked again in the direction Wu Yixian had left, his tone becoming chilling. But she also said, young people's problems should be solved by the young people themselves. Since that's the case, let's settle this with her openly and fairly in the secret realm of the college entrance examination. But Wu Yixian's fish seems to be a monster, Bai Di said worriedly. So, what if it's a demon beast? Yi Tian's lips curled into a cruel smile. The Xiao brothers, Xiao Bai and Xiao Imo, from number 3 middle school, were both sponsored by our Yi family, and the beasts they awakened were all demonic beasts. Moreover, after this period of training, their skills have improved rapidly. 2 against 1, Wu Yixian is doomed. Sunlight shone on Yi Tian's ferocious face, casting deep shadows. Suburbs of Donghai City. After seeing off Su Mingyue, who was preparing to return to Liju City and wanted to share her amazing gains with her father as soon as possible, Wu Yixian returned to her room. She looked at Su Han, who was leisurely blowing bubbles in the small fish tank, shook her head slightly, and stopped worrying about Yi Tian. After all, unless it's a veteran powerhouse like Yi Tian personally getting involved. Young people? She's never been afraid of them. Thinking this, Wu Yixian held Su Han in her hands again, her face full of threat. Silly fish. Tell me honestly, what level of beast tamer are you? And what about that spatial magic item? How many things are you hiding from me? Tisk. Su Han glanced at Wu Yixian, who was interrogating him with a serious expression, and rolled her eyes at her. You mere pet, as if you can hear me no matter what I say. Su Han ignored his silly girl and pointed to her storage ring with his little wings. Looking at Su Han's actions, Wu Yixian asked, You want that dark demon tiger? Su Han nodded. Upon seeing this, Wu Yixian waved his hand, and the enormous corpse of the dark demon tiger appeared in the open space of the room, with a thick stench of blood and a faint oppressive aura spreading out. Dinner's ready. Dinner's ready. In an instant, Su Han leaped from Wu Yixian's grasp and landed in front of the cold corpse of the dark demon tiger, devouring the heavens and earth. With a thought, he activated his devouring heaven and earth talent. An invisible suction force emanated from his body, drawing in the essence of blood and spiritual power contained in the corpse of the dark demon tiger. The energy transformed into wisps of dark red energy, continuously flowing into Su Han's small fish mouth. Devouring the dark demon tiger, devouring speed plus 1.1, devouring the dark demon tiger, devouring speed plus 2.3. Looking at Su Han, Wu Yixian did not disturb him any further, but simply sat quietly to the side, her elbows resting on her knees and her palms supporting her chin. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on Su Han without blinking, her heart filled with curiosity and doubt. Just who is this little guy? It is clearly a demon beast, but I cannot sense its inner thoughts at all. Could it be that my talent is inferior to his? But in just a moment, Wu Yixian denied this guess again. Apart from that Kunping Emperor, my talent is definitely among the top of all the races in the heavens. How could my talent be inferior to that of a silly fish? Wu Yixian had absolute confidence in her own abilities. So it seems that it's really because fish only have a 7-second memory and their thinking is too unpredictable that I can't hear his thoughts. Wu Yixian was puzzled. After a long while, Wu Yixian still had no clue whatsoever. In the end, she could only shake her head helplessly and stop worrying about it. Instead, she took out the bottle of condensing essence evolution liquid that she had left over from last time from her storage ring. There were still 2/3 left, and the crystal-clear liquid swayed slightly inside the bottle. Right now, instead of pondering the thoughts of my silly fish, why can't I hear them myself? Most importantly, we need to improve our skills to prepare for the upcoming college entrance examination. As Wu Yixian spoke, she glanced at the calendar hanging on the wall. There are 20 days left until the college entrance examination. Now, although I'm already a level 4 beast tamer, and the silly fish has proven that he's indeed no ordinary beast, he's actually a demon beast, but the top scorer in the college entrance examination in his previous life was Shi Yutian, the #1 genius of the Shi family in Lizhu City, a level 7 beast tamer. His natal beast is also a demon beast, and his second beast is the incredibly powerful sky-supporting Ant King, which possesses terrifying power capable of easily splitting mountains and shattering rocks. Right now, I'm afraid that I and Silly Fish are far from being his match. Call. Wu Yixian sighed helplessly, somewhat regretfully. 20 days is still too short. It seems that I have little chance of getting first place in this year's college entrance examination in Donghai province. It's just a pity that the first place prize. It is said that Shi Yutian's ability to obtain the true dragon treasure technique in the future is related to the reward for being the top scorer in the college entrance examination in the East China Sea province. A long time. Wu Yixian sighed again. Never mind. Strive for the top 10. There are rewards for the top 10, although they are far less than those for the first place. She calmed her mind, stopped thinking about it, tilted her head back slightly, drank another third of the bottle of condensing essence evolution liquid, then sat cross-legged on the bed and began to cultivate. Devouring the dark demon tiger, devouring speed plus 1.7. Devouring the dark demon tiger, devouring speed plus 1.4. The poor empress is so frugal. While absorbing the essence of the dark demon tiger's blood and qi, Su Han glanced at Wu Yixian, who was engrossed in cultivation, and narrowed his eyes slightly. But she just mentioned the true dragon treasure technique, right? So it seems I can't afford to slack off this year's college entrance exam. Although Su Han didn't know what the 10 fiends true dragons meant when they said they were hiding among humans last time. But Su Han understood one thing. Becoming stronger is definitely the right thing to do. But becoming stronger isn't just about increasing demonic power. If one day I could obtain the entire legacy of the 10 ancient fiends, then I should. For a moment, Su Han's eyes burned with passion. However, Su Han also knew that things had to be done step by step. Therefore, he turned to look at the dark demon tiger's corpse, which had already turned to ashes, and wondered, I wonder what kind of innate talent it will gain this time? Name, Su Han. Race, kun-pan juvenile. Rank, kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient fiends. Demon power, 4.2. Skill, dark demon roar cannon. Contractor, Wu Yixian. Innate divine abilities, devouring heaven and earth. Kun-pan fighting technique, kun-pan nest. Water strike of 3000. Floating cloud technique. Talents, true dragon body, beginner. Cloud riding, golden azure dharma body, great strength, beginner. 8%. Regeneration, not yet awakened, 5%. Skill, dark demon roar cannon, gathers demonic power within the body and highly compresses it in the mouth, condensing it into an energy blast. It possesses extremely strong area of effect destructive power, and its form and power change with the increase of demonic power and the nature of the demonic power incorporated. Su Han looked at the introduction of the dark demon roaring cannon, a hint of joy flashing in his eyes. The effect description looks a bit like the tailed beast ball from an anime I watched in my previous life. Its power should be considerable. Good. Right now, I'm exactly lacking this kind of simple, direct, and powerful long-range attack method. Although the kun-pan fighting technique possesses top-tier close combat killing power, the Water Strike 3000 technique can unleash power far exceeding Su Han's strength under certain circumstances. However, both of these innate abilities have certain environmental requirements. In confined spaces, where Su Han cannot transform into his true form, or in places lacking water, his power will inevitably be affected. The appearance of the Dark Demon Roar Cannon perfectly makes up for this shortcoming. It is a pure application of demonic power, regardless of whether Su-han maintains his enormous physical form or whether there is no water source around. As long as his demonic power is sufficient, Su-han can unleash the full power of the Dark Demon Roar Cannon at any time. It can be described as a powerful tool for dealing with all kinds of emergencies. However, Su-han quickly noticed that the Dark Demon Roar Cannon did not appear in the talent section, but instead appeared under the previously empty skills category. Su-han was slightly puzzled. Could it be because it's not a permanent passive enhancement effect, like Great Strength or True Dragon Body? It doesn't provide a continuous buff like Soaring Through the Clouds or Golden Azure Dharma Body. Instead, it's more like a movement that requires you to actively activate it and consume your demonic energy. Su-han felt that this was very likely. The distinction between the panels seems to have its own inherent logic. Talents tend to provide permanent or sustainable benefits, while skills are more like techniques that need to be actively activated. But it doesn't matter. Su-han flicked his tail. His mindset was very calm. Whether it is classified as a talent or a skill, as long as it is useful and can improve combat power, that's fine. There's no point in getting hung up on the name. After digesting the joy of acquiring new skills, Su-han's gaze turned to the blood ants placed on the table next to him, and his eyes lit up. I had a good day. I should reward myself with a little snack. At that moment, Wu Yixian, who was cultivating, suddenly felt a strange unease, as if, are some things that you already have little of slipping away from you? It's not money, is it? The thought of losing her meager savings sent a chill down Wu Yixian's spine. It shouldn't be. Didn't silly fish just eat a dark demon tiger? Wu Yixian was relieved. The next morning, after cultivating all night, Wu Yixian slowly finished his practice as the first rays of the rising sun appeared and lazily stretched. Feeling the spiritual power within her body noticeably increase, a satisfied smile involuntarily appeared on her lips. It's still faster to cultivate by investing resources. What kind of miserable life did I live for the first 18 years? Wu Yixian felt her strength steadily improving, and her eyes were full of excitement. As she spoke, Wu Yixian lowered her head, wanting to thank her silly fish again, but she quickly realized, my own silly fish isn't on my chest? Wu Yixian was puzzled, since at this time usually her silly fish would still be lying on her, taking a nap. Silly fish, silly fish? Wu Yixian looked around in confusion. The room was small and simply furnished. Her gaze quickly settled on the table by the window. But the next second, the expression on her face froze instantly. The silly fish, its body shimmering with a faint golden, blue, and white luster, was lying sprawled out in the transparent glass box that had originally contained the precious blood ants. Her once flat belly was now round and bulging, rising and falling slightly with her breathing. What made Wu Yixian even more dismayed was that the 60 blood ant boxes that had been piled up next to the table yesterday were now completely empty, their lids scattered to the side, silently telling the story of the tragedy that had occurred the previous night. No. Wu Yixian was on the verge of tears. My feeling yesterday was actually true. My little money. What she saw was not 60 empty blood ant boxes, but countless tiny golden coins that suddenly grew wings and flew away. At that moment, upon hearing Wu Yixian's moan, Su-han inside the box lazily stirred. What's that silly girl yelling about so early in the morning? Su-han blinked and saw Wu Yixian's pained and tearful expression and immediately understood what was going on. With a nonchalant leap, he sprang from the blood ant box at the crime scene, tracing a graceful arc before landing precisely on Wu Yixian's chest. In midair, he adjusted his posture and gently patted Wu Yixian's outstretched finger, which seemed to want to grab him and accuse him, with his tail. Then, familiar with the place, I found my assigned seat and adjusted to the most comfortable position. Good morning, silly girl. Wu Yixian. She looked at the little fish necklace in front of her, then at the 60 empty boxes on the table, and almost choked on her breath. A long time, she looked up at the sky and sighed helplessly. Poverty. But soon she shook her head again. Never mind, being able to eat is a blessing, being able to eat. Maybe it even helps me have children? Speaking of which, I still don't know if you, silly fish, are a boy or a girl. Come, come, let your master see. Su Han looked at Wu Yixian, who was about to lay a hand on him, and instantly his forehead was covered in black lines. You perverted woman. Snap. A fish tail slapped onto her hand. Seeing Su Han's anger and embarrassment, Wu Yixian's depressed mood seemed to improve considerably. Originally, I was thinking that after selling that crimson bloodgrass, I could relax and rest until the college entrance exam. Wu Yixian walked to the window, opened it, and the slightly damp morning air rushed into the room, with the scenery of the suburbs in the distance faintly visible. She looked in a certain direction, her gaze gradually sharpening. But now it seems that we can't afford to just sit around and do nothing. Silly fish, let's go. I'll take you to a great place today. As Wu Yixian spoke, she led Su Han out of the room. I remember in my past life, a top-tier second-level beast with the bloodline of the Azure Phoenix appeared there a few years later. I'm about to reach level 5, so I might as well try my luck. Even if we don't encounter them, we can still hunt the monsters there to buy milk powder for our silly fish. Azure Phoenix bloodline? Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, Su Han's heart stirred slightly. After all, the Azure Phoenix possesses a bloodline of a second-tier flying divine beast. Even a trace of it would be far superior to that of an ordinary magical beast. More importantly, if we could actually encounter and devour it, could I acquire new talents related to wind and fire? Thinking of this, Su Han couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. Wu Yixian seemed to sense Su Han's expectation. She reached out and touched Su Han's body, then smiled slightly and didn't delay any longer. Soon, the two people arrived at the city gate. This time, however, Wu Yixian did not go through the south gate, which is close to Zhuelong Forest and Liju City, but instead went through the north gate in the opposite direction. Leaving here, the scenery is completely different from that of the Fallen Dragon Forest. Outside the city gate lies a plain. Beyond this plain, and continuing onward, one can see a range of rolling mountains. And the name of this mountain range is Zhuke Ridge. Compared to the Fallen Dragon Forest, where city defense troops occasionally clear away magical beasts, Vermilion Bird Ridge is much more dangerous. Generally, only those with late-stage cultivation levels like Beast Tamer level 7, 8, or 9 dare to come here. But high risk also means high reward. In the past, Wu Yixian would definitely not have dared to come here. After all, her cultivation level was not high enough. But now, she is already a level 4 beast tamer and also possesses a dragon body, so Wu Yixian is confident that she will not be flustered at all even if she faces some level 6 beast tamers. If he added his own silly fish to the mix, Wu Yixian felt that he could definitely go toe-to-toe with level 7 or 8 beast tamers whose natal beast taming was not a demon beast. Half an hour later, the man and the fish were standing at the entrance to the Vermilion Bird Ridge. To find the dragon's vein and divide the gold, look at the winding mountains. Each winding path is a barrier. Cough. Well, Su Han doesn't understand feng shui, but kun-pan, as one of the 10 ancient fiends who can fight with true dragons and roam the starry sea, has an innate and keen intuition about the pattern of heaven and earth and the energy of mountains and rivers. Therefore, Su Han looked at the rolling mountains ahead. He felt that something was wrong, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Thinking about it, Su Han patted Wu Yixian, who was about to enter Zhuke Ridge. Question mark. Wu Yixian looked at Su Han curiously. Silly fish, what's wrong? Su Han pointed with her little wings to a fairly tall mountain not far behind them. Let's go take a look there. Which mountain peak are you going to? Su Han nodded. He planned to find a high place first to observe the overall terrain before making any decisions. Although Wu Yixian was anxious to find the demon beast with the bloodline of the Azure Phoenix, she had complete trust in Su Han's judgment. After all, this silly fish of mine, although he is usually greedy and loves to sleep, has repeatedly proven his extraordinary intuition at crucial moments. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to obtain both the crimson bloodgrass and the dragon body. Okay, I'll do as you say. Soon, following Su Han's guidance, Wu Yixian arrived at the mountain peak, that Su Han had pointed out earlier. The mountain isn't very high, but it's still enough to see most of the terrain of Zhuke Ridge in front of you. Hiss. Su Han sat on Wu Yixian's shoulders, looking at the mountains and valleys in front of him, layer upon layer of green peaks, with mountain ridges winding and crisscrossing as if guarding something, and streams weaving through the valleys. The overall shape of the mountain resembles a bird spreading its wings, ready to take flight. The main peaks in the core area, in particular, resemble bird heads and feathers, exuding extraordinary grandeur. When the Tangshan mountain collapses, the Lingzhong bell responds in the east. The mountains and rivers form a battle formation, with the mountains and waters in front echoing each other. It should be high without being dangerous, low without being submerged, prominent without being ostentatious, and quiet without being imprisoned or choked up. Dragonfall Forest, Vermilion Bird Ridge. This Donghai city is quite interesting. Seeing Su Han staring blankly at Vermilion Bird Ridge, Wu Yixian couldn't help but ask, "Silly fish, is there something wrong with Vermilion Bird Ridge?" Although Wu Yixian's cultivation level was extremely high in her previous life, it was because she spent almost 99% of her life in that life cultivating diligently. Therefore, he pays little attention to things outside of cultivation. She couldn't see anything wrong with the Vermilion Bird Ridge in front of her.
Su Han shook his head.
He couldn't say for sure because this Zhuke Ridge was different from Zhulong Forest. If the Fallen Dragon Forest was naturally formed, then Su Han felt that the Vermilion Bird Ridge was definitely man-made. Therefore, how exactly? We need to see what the person who made Zhukeling what it is today was really thinking. Zhuke Ridge has existed for so long. Surely I can't be so unlucky as to encounter something as soon as I go in? Su Han thought to himself, then returned to his assigned seat and ignored Wu Yixian. That's silly fish. Seeing Su Han shaking his head again, Wu Yixian suddenly felt a little regretful. Why was she a martial arts fanatic in her past life, paying attention to nothing but cultivation? I don't remember anything special about Vermilion Bird Ridge in my previous life, except for that beast with some Azure Phoenix bloodline. Thinking about it, Wu Yixian had already descended the mountain and returned to the mountain pass of Zhuke Ridge, heading towards Zhuke Ridge.
But
the moment Wu Yixian stepped into the mountain pass, a wisp of dragon energy inadvertently dissipated. By the grace of the Holy Mother, please wait a moment, benefactor. By the grace of the Mother? Wu Yixian's heart skipped a beat, and she stopped in her tracks, looking in the direction of the sound. Not far ahead, in the shadow of an ancient tree, a monk dressed in a strange white robe with a single black eye embroidered on it appeared out of nowhere. Are you a member of the Eternal Bliss cult? Instantly, the white-robed monk's smile widened, and he raised one hand to his chest, performing a strange gesture. You have great insight, benefactor. I never expected that someone could recognize my Eternal Bliss sect at a glance in such a remote place. It seems that you are indeed destined to be with my sect. Mother Ming is merciful and saves all sentient beings. I wonder if you, benefactor, would be willing to take refuge in my religion and go together to the pure land of ultimate bliss. His voice had a strange, seductive power, as if it could penetrate straight into people's hearts. Without a second thought, Wu Yixian coldly refused. No interest. I'm not interested in your paradise. Please move aside, I'm going to pass. The white-robed monk's smile remained unchanged. Why must you keep people at arm's length, benefactor? All things in the world are filled with suffering, but only the Holy Mother can grant eternal bliss. Judging from your exceptional talent and vigorous vitality and the trace of extraordinary aura, if you could join my sect, you would surely receive the blessings of the Bright Mother, and your future would be limitless. I said, I'm not interested. Get out of the way. Wu Yixian said coldly again, while her spiritual power surged within her body. The white-robed monk was about to speak again, but suddenly his eyes turned pitch black, with not a trace of white showing. But it quickly returned to normal. I see. He suddenly seemed to drift off into a daze and murmured, then stepped aside to make way for her, saying, By the Holy Mother, since you have made up your mind, I will not force you. Wu Yixian frowned slightly, wondering what he was up to now. But it was best to leave now. So even though Wu Yixian had doubts, she didn't linger. She carefully passed through the pass and continued to rush deeper into the Vermilion Bird Ridge. Silly girl, what's the background of that Eternal Bliss cult? After the white-robed monk was completely out of sight, Su Han asked Wu Yixian curiously. You're asking about the Eternal Bliss sect? Wu Yixian looked at Su Han, who was pointing with his little wings in the direction where the white-robed monk had disappeared. Su Han sat on her shoulder, his golden blue eyes filled with curiosity. He felt that the monk from earlier, especially his eyes that suddenly turned pitch black at the end, and his inexplicable "so that's how it is," had an indescribable eeriness about him. Even if I told you, would you stupid fish, understand? Looking at her silly fish, who usually did nothing but eat and sleep, but always showed some strange behavior at crucial moments, Wu Yixian deliberately dragged out her words. She even rolled her eyes at Su Han. She finally found an opportunity to get revenge on this silly fish that always loved to be mysterious. Su Han was taken aback. Oh, you silly girl. You've gone bad and are starting to retaliate against me in my own way. Looking at the annoyed Su Han, Wu Yixian's lips curled into a smug smile. He then ignored his silly fish and continued walking deeper into Zhuke Ridge. Actually, it wasn't that Wu Yixian was unwilling to talk about it, but rather that she herself didn't have a deep understanding of the Eternal Bliss sect, didn't know their doctrines, and didn't know what they were trying to do. But one thing left a very deep impression on Wu Yixian. The members of the Eternal Bliss cult are a group of believers whose devotion borders on fanaticism and defies conventional logic. In her past life, she had witnessed a horrific tragedy orchestrated by the Eternal Bliss cult. In some incomprehensible way, thousands of fanatical believers sacrificed a city with a population of nearly 1 million, along with themselves, to the being they called Mother Ming. After that sacrifice, the area within a radius of 100,000 li was transformed into a lifeless wasteland. From that time on, in Wu Yixian's mind, the Eternal Bliss sect became synonymous with extremism, danger, and evil. Paradoxically, she had also heard bits and pieces that followers of the Eternal Bliss religion practice medicine and helped the poor and weak. In short, it's very contradictory. This world is neither black nor white, but a delicate shade of gray. As Su Han listened to Wu Yixian's heartfelt words about the Eternal Bliss sect, this sentence suddenly came to mind. However, in general, Su Han felt that the Eternal Bliss cult was probably not a good thing. After all, can a bad person become a Buddha overnight just because they did some good deeds? I just wonder if this Vermilion Bird Ridge is the work of this so-called Eternal Bliss sect. Zhuke Ridge is much larger than Zhuelong Forest, and its terrain is also more rugged and complex. The two traveled for more than an hour before the surrounding environment began to become lively, and traces of some magical beasts gradually appeared. However, this area is still the outer region of Zhuke Ridge, and the monsters that appear here are mostly around level 4 or 5. For Wu Yixian, who now possesses a dragon body and has reached the level of a level 4 beast tamer, dealing with him is not difficult. She moved with agility and her steps were mysterious, easily dodging the attacks of the magical beasts. Then, her slender fingers pointed out in midair, a faint golden light swirling around the fingertips, containing penetrating power. It was the shattering star finger. Wherever the wind blows, a bloody hole will appear on the thick-skinned monsters, and they will fall to the ground and die with a wail. Wu Yixian skillfully stored several relatively intact monster corpses into her storage ring. These materials can be sold for at least several dozen gold crystals if we bring them back to Donghai City. Wu Yixian was slightly satisfied. But soon, the thought of the big eater on her shoulder, a blood ant that could devour hundreds of gold coins in one meal, dispelled Wu Yixian's good mood. Alas, poverty. The income from these few dozen gold crystals is like a drop in the ocean. Wu Yixian couldn't help but sigh softly. The path of cultivation requires wealth, companions, methods, and a suitable environment. The importance of wealth is truly paramount. Su Han felt Wu Yixian's resentful gaze and blinked innocently. However, In order to ensure he could have enough to eat and to improve his strength as quickly as possible, Su-han finally stopped slacking off. He felt it was necessary for him to play the role of a treasure fish. Although Zhuke Ridge is not Qilong River, the omnipresent moisture in the air still extended Su-han's senses. With his eyes closed and mind focused, Su-han carefully sensed the subtle flow and distribution of the spiritual energy in the surrounding world. Soon, he noticed that the spiritual energy in the northwest direction seemed a bit unusual, slightly more active and denser than the surrounding area, and with a unique heat. "Go there." Su-han pointed to the northwest with her small wings. "Tell me to go there?" Looking in that direction, Wu Yixian saw that the forest was denser and the mountains appeared to be higher. "Have you discovered something again?" Su-han shook his head, indicating that he was not sure either, but he felt that something was unusual about that side. He shook his head again. Helpless, Wu Yixian reached out and gently flicked Su-han's smooth forehead with her fingertips. "You silly fish. All you do is make things mysterious." "Never mind. I'm just searching aimlessly anyway." After saying that, Wu Yixian changed direction and sped off in the northwest direction indicated by Su-han. As the two continued deeper into the forest, the surrounding trees grew taller and taller, their canopies blocking out the sun and making the light in the forest dim. It's unclear when it started, but wisps of faint white mist gradually began to fill the air. At first, Wu Yixian didn't pay much attention, as fog was a common occurrence in the mountains. But soon, she realized something was wrong. The fog thickened so quickly that in just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the surrounding fog had become so dense that only a radius of about 10 meters could be seen. Moreover, the mist carried a faint smell of decaying vegetation. Inhaling it into the lungs can actually cause a slight dizziness. This fog. Something's wrong. Wu Yixian immediately held her breath and circulated her spiritual energy to expel the slight odor she had inhaled. His eyes sharpened instantly, and he entered a state of high alert. Su-han also perked up, slightly opening her small wings to sense the moisture in the mist. This fog is indeed unusual. It is not entirely formed naturally. It appears to contain some extremely subtle substance that can interfere with perception and even affect consciousness. Why did such a strange fog suddenly appear? Is it due to the inherent dangers of Vermilion Bird Ridge, or is it the work of that monk from the Eternal Bliss sect? Wu Yixian's mind raced, her gaze sharp as she scanned the vast expanse of white all around her. The thick fog not only obscured her vision, but even the sounds seemed to become muffled and indistinct. The entire mountain forest fell into a deathly silence, and Wu Yixian could only hear the faint sound of her own heartbeat and footsteps. Su-han also cautiously sensed his surroundings, but the thick fog had significantly limited his range of perception. Suddenly, he noticed a blurry black shadow flash by very quickly in the depths of the thick fog to his left. The speed was so fast that it was almost an illusion. Chirp! Su-han immediately flapped his wings at Wu Yixian's neck, indicating that there was a situation on the left. Almost at the same time that Su-han issued the warning, Wu Yixian, relying on her combat instincts, also sensed a faint but sharp sound of air being torn apart from her left. Without a second thought, she pushed off the ground with her toes and flew to the right like moonlight. Whoosh! A beam of white light grazed past the hem of her clothes and embedded itself deeply into the trunk of a large tree behind her that required 2 people to encircle it. The next second, the tree exploded into pieces. Wu Yixian watched this scene with a frosty expression. The surrounding fog churned and remained silent. The dark figure seemed to realize that its attack had failed, and it once again merged into the fog, leaving no trace. Playing tricks. Upon seeing this, Wu Yixian snorted coldly. However, instead of rushing into the fog to pursue them, he held his breath and focused his mind, maximizing his senses. At the same time, a pale golden light gathered again at her fingertips. The shattering star finger technique conceals its power, waiting to strike. Su-han stood on her shoulder, no longer relying solely on sight. Instead, he fully mobilized his innate divine ability, Water Strike 3000, to enhance his ability to perceive water vapor. This dense fog is essentially a form of water. In his perception, the surrounding world seemed to transform into a map composed of countless tiny water droplets. Soon, Suhan noticed something unusual. About 15 meters to the right front, there was a small area where the flow of fog appeared particularly sluggish and unnatural. It was as if an invisible barrier was interfering with the natural diffusion of water vapor. And this anomaly is moving around them at an extremely fast speed, silently. There. Suhan immediately patted Wu Yixian and pointed with his wings in the direction of the anomaly. Wu Yixian had already established trust in Suhan, so she moved the moment Suhan warned her. The pale golden light at her fingertips suddenly burst forth, transforming into a sharp gust of wind that pierced through the thick fog and shot with unparalleled precision toward the core of the unnatural mist. Laugh. A strange sound, like tearing tattered leather, was heard, followed by a sharp, piercing, inhuman scream. The thick fog churned violently, forcing a blurry black figure to emerge. The thing was roughly humanoid, but its entire body seemed to be formed from a thick, grayish-white fog. It had no clear facial features, only two flickering, malevolent beams of light serving as its eyes. Its arms stretched out like two misty blades, and the white light from before was clearly one of them. At this moment, its chest was pierced by the power of the shattered star finger, leaving a hole the size of a fist. But mist kept escaping from the edges, seemingly slowly creeping and trying to repair itself. This is a mist demon? When Wu Yixian saw what the thing looked like, her pupils contracted slightly, and a look of surprise flashed in her eyes. No wonder it could hide so well. It's a monster that's skilled at manipulating mist. Mist demons are a rather rare elemental magical beast, usually only born in certain large swamps or ancient mountains shrouded in mist year-round. However, although Zhuke Ridge is deep in mountains and dense in forests, its climate is not known for being foggy. It's unusual for a mist demon to appear here. Wu Yixian looked at the mist demon, a slight doubt in her heart. Meanwhile, the mist demon on the other side seemed to have become extremely ferocious due to its injuries. Buzz. It emitted a disturbing shriek, and the surrounding thick fog seemed to come alive, wrapping around Wu Yixian like tentacles, trying to hinder her movements and senses. At the same time, its form became blurred again, trying to blend back into the fog. Trying to escape? Too late. Now that the location of the mist demon has been determined, why would Wu Yixian give it another chance? She let out a sharp cry, her spiritual energy surging within her, her figure like a moon shadow, rapidly closing the distance with the mist demon. When the mist demon found that concealment was ineffective, it frantically swung the mist blades formed from its arms, creating sharp, piercing sounds as they swept towards Wu Yixian. The offensive appeared fierce, but it was somewhat disorganized due to injuries. Wu Yixian's eyes were calm. Shatterstar, break. She seized the moment when the mist demon was momentarily stunned after an attack, and golden light shone brightly from her fingertips. This time, she concentrated more spiritual power into a single point and pointed her finger fiercely at the head of the mist demon. Puff! A muffled thud, and a golden light flashed through his brain. The mist demon froze instantly, the swirling mist around it stopped abruptly, and the two eerie lights quickly dimmed. Immediately afterwards, its entire misty body began to fluctuate violently, and then with a bang, it completely exploded. It turned into ordinary white water vapor and blended into the surrounding thick fog. As the mist demon died, the dense, eerie mist around them seemed to begin to fade at a visible rate. As the view gradually opened up, the dizzying, decaying stench dissipated. Only a crystal core, about the size of a pigeon egg, grayish-white in color, with what appeared to be slowly flowing clouds inside, remained in place. And a few light, condensed mist-like special materials slowly fell downwards. Wu Yixian reacted quickly, scooping up the crystal core and materials in her hand. Feeling the pure and slightly hallucinatory energy fluctuations emanating from the crystal core, a hint of excited smile finally appeared on her face. The crystal core of the mist demon, and of quite good quality. Wu Yixian examined it carefully. This thing is a rare item. It is a precious material for refining certain high-level concealment talismans, illusion array cores, and even cultivating special eye techniques. If we take this to the auction house in Donghai City, this crystal core can fetch at least 6,000 gold crystals. This is truly an unexpected windfall. Wu Yixian, who had just lamented her poverty because of raising fish, suddenly felt much better. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Zhuke Ridge, in a hidden cave leading to the core. The cave was dimly lit, the air was scorching, and it was filled with a strong smell of sulfur. A man dressed in white was sitting cross-legged on a flat rock, seemingly practicing his internal energy. Suddenly, his body trembled violently, and his face turned deathly pale. Then, with a poof, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his life force immediately waned. "Big brother, what's wrong?" Upon seeing this, a man dressed in black, whose face bore a striking resemblance to the man in white, immediately stepped forward and asked anxiously. The man in white slowly opened his eyes, which were filled with shock, anger, and heartache. He gritted his teeth and said in a hoarse voice, "My second tamed beast is dead." "The mist demon is dead?" The man in black's expression changed. How is this possible? In this outer area, with the mist demon's abilities, even if she can't win, she should be able to escape by hiding. Have no idea. The man in white shook his head, his face grim. Through the contract connection, I can only vaguely sense that it was forcibly killed in a very short time, without even a chance to escape. It seems someone has arrived, and they are quite powerful. A fierce glint flashed in the man's eyes. "Who are you? Are you here for that thing, just like us?" "I don't know. They could be experts who stumbled in by accident, or they could be people whose information was leaked and who share the same goal as us." The man in white took a breath, suppressing the surging blood and qi within his body. Regardless of who they are, whether it was unintentional or deliberate, the man in black's tone turned grim. "Kill them all without mercy. This is the most crucial moment. There can be no mistakes." As he spoke, he turned and looked into the depths of the cave. It wasn't completely dark there. Instead, a faint, dark red light emanated from it, and an even hotter aura surged from its depths. Looking through the narrow opening, you can see that the other end of the cave is connected to a huge underground lava lake. There is a protruding rock in the center of the lake. On the rock, there was an egg about the size of a human head, with its shell covered in strange red patterns, rhythmically absorbing the heat of the surrounding magma. That's right. Looking at the 9 nether phoenix egg, a fanaticism flashed in the white-robed man's eyes. As long as we brothers can successfully form a contract with this 9 nether phoenix, its future will be limitless, given its potential. At that time, the Yi family will rely on us even more and give us more support. The man in black nodded in agreement, a smug smile on his face. But speaking of which, we really have to thank that woman named Wu Yixian. If it weren't for her holding Yi Fan back on the banks of the Red Dragon River, our young master might not have died so coincidentally during the Red Dragon River riots. If Yi Tian hadn't been so eager for revenge, this incredible opportunity would have been. Where would it be our turn, brothers? Indeed, Yi Fan deserved to die. Xiao Bai sneered. But Xiao Mo and the child in Sisteria's belly, is it yours or mine? Xiao Mo was taken aback at first, then revealed an ambiguous smile. Brother, there's no need to distinguish between yours and mine. Anyway, in the future, the Yi family will be taken over by our Xiao family bloodline. Isn't that good enough? That's true, Xiao Bai nodded. Who cares whose bloodline he is? He's still a member of the Xiao family, cough cough. Brother, Xiao Mo hurriedly stepped forward to support Xiao Bai, who was coughing up blood again, and said worriedly, Brother, I think even if this beast is placed here where the essence of fire is so rich, it will take at least a few more days to hatch. Shall I accompany you back to the city to treat your injuries? But Xiao Bai clutched his chest, looking at the egg that was gently gestating in the scorching lava, a hint of hesitation flashing in his eyes. Leave it here alone. Peace of mind. Xiao Mo confidently patted the jade pendant at his waist, and a pale blue halo spread out from him, echoing the barrier set up deep in the cave. With the weak water barrier in place, unless a master of Yi Tian's level comes in person, who could possibly break in? And even if someone breaks in, I can sense it. Therefore, you should focus on returning to the city to heal your wounds and recover your strength as soon as possible. After all, we still have to deal with Wu Yixian when we take the college entrance exam. Hearing Xiao Mo say this, Xiao Bai finally nodded. All right, you're right. There's no time to lose. Let's go, and come back quickly. Xiao Mo helped Xiao Bai up, and the two slowly walked out of the cave. Throughout the journey, Xiao Bai remained silent due to his injuries, while Xiao Mo's eyes gleamed with calculation. Big brother, I've heard that Wu Yixian has excellent talent, and her appearance is top-notch. Upon hearing this, Xiao Bai coughed twice, a playful look appearing on his face. Such a beauty, it would be a waste to just kill her. Hee, big brother, you have to let me play first when the time comes. Then I'll join the queue. Zhuke Ridge, Outer Perimeter. This is like a windfall, to actually encounter a mist demon here. At this moment, Wu Yixian had finished processing all of the mist demon's spoils. She estimated that she could sell it for about 8,000 gold crystals, and her eyes were full of joy. Su Han yawned listlessly. Silly girl, hurry up. Can we continue walking now? Wu Yixian looked at the silly fish pointing ahead and urging her on, her face full of anticipation. Let's go. Hopefully we can encounter a few more mist demons ahead. That way, I really won't have to worry about money for the time being. With that, Wu Yixian led Su Han forward again. However, as Wu Yixian and Su Han continued to venture deeper, the scenery around Zhuke Ridge became increasingly strange. The ground beneath my feet, I don't know when it started, seemed to have been stained with blood and turned a deep, dark red. The once dense forest gradually thinned out and became shorter, replaced by clumps of drought-resistant shrubs and dark moss clinging to the ground. Although the air was still fresh, the temperature was rising at an unusually rapid pace. The previous coolness in the forest was gone, making one feel as if they were in a giant steamer. They traveled for another half an hour. At this moment, Wu Yixian's smooth forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat, and even her breathing was somewhat hot. This place is unusually hot. Zhuke Ridge is indeed hiding some unknown strangeness. Something unusual must be going on. Recalling the unusually powerful mist demon from before, Wu Yixian had a premonition. There are definitely more surprises waiting for her ahead. They continued on their journey until, an hour later, they arrived at a strange mountain wall. It was clearly a mountain, but a faint, hazy red light emanated from the crevices, and the air was filled with the smell of sulfur. Moreover, there is a huge hole. The cave was deep and dark, making it impossible to see the specific situation, but the scorching heat and dark red light were emanating from it. However, the most striking feature is not the cave itself. Instead, it was a barrier that stood across the entrance to the cave. It resembled a flowing curtain of water, its color deep and dark, almost inky black, yet strangely transparent, allowing glimpses of the cave's interior. Above the water curtain, light swirled, emanating an extremely cold aura that strangely coexisted with the heat waves inside the cave. This is a barrier? Wu Yixian stopped and examined the scene closely. Upon sensing the extremely and cold, eerie power contained within the water curtain, power capable of isolating spiritual consciousness, her pupils suddenly contracted, and a low cry escaped her lips. Weak water. This is the weak water barrier. Legend has it that the weak water is the most poisonous and water in the world. Even a feather cannot float on it, and touching it will corrode one's soul and destroy one's bones. Weak water. Just as Wu Yixian was deeply shaken and curious about what was inside the cave that required the protection of the weak water barrier, Su Han, sitting on her shoulder, looked at the weak water barrier in front of her with curiosity in her eyes. This is the weak water? I'm a little thirsty. Su-han's bloodline instincts told him that the water in front of him was a good thing and could be drunk. Immediately, Su-han tentatively stretched out a small wing and touched the dark water curtain, wanting to taste it first to see if it was salty enough. Watch out, you silly fish. Are you out of your mind? When Wu Yixian saw Su-han's actions, her scalp tingled instantly, and she cried out in alarm, quickly reaching out to pull Su-han back. But it was too late. Su-han's little wings have already reached into the weak water. However, Wu Yixian's expectations were the scene of Su-han's little wings being instantly eroded and dissolved by the weak water did not occur. Those tiny wings so easily and without hindrance stretched into the weak water, which is known as the most poisonous and clean water in the world, without any problems whatsoever.
Ah!
Wu Yixian stood frozen in place, almost doubting her own eyes. How is this possible? This is the weak water, the most potent poison in the world. Just as Wu Yixian was shocked that her silly fish could remain unharmed even after touching the weak water, the next second, she was stunned again. Su-han slowly retracted her small wing, then put a drop of weak water that was stuck to the wing into her mouth. Why? Wu Yixian looked at Su-han, who was actually putting the weak water into his mouth, her eyes filled with panic, afraid that she would see her silly fish collapse in pain and be corroded in the next second. After all, that's weak water. Being able to touch it doesn't mean you can drink it. However, Su-han merely smacked his lips, as if savoring the taste of that drop of water from before. Absorbing the weak water, demon power plus 0.03. Absorbing weak water, absorption rate plus 0.02. Absorbing the weak water, demon power plus 0.01. Absorbed weak water, absorption rate plus 0.032. Wow, 99% perfect, a rare find. Su-han felt his demonic power increase and was filled with joy. Although the increase wasn't much, it was definitely much faster than his normal cultivation, or even when he was devouring blood ants. But what surprised him even more was the increase in the rate of absorption. This means that as long as he continues to consume these weak waters, he may awaken his talent. Devouring heaven and earth truly lives up to its reputation as the innate divine power of the primordial 10 ferocious kun-pan. It can even refine talent from the weak water. For a moment, Su-han felt extremely satisfied. When Wu Yixian saw that Su-han was not only unharmed, but also seemed thoughtful and even a little satisfied, she was surprised. Her heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled down, and she breathed a long sigh of relief. You silly fish, you scared me to death. This is the weak water. Don't be so reckless next time. Upon hearing this, Su-han finally snapped out of his reverie of tasting the delicious food and flapped his wings nonchalantly to indicate that he understood. Then, his gaze once again fixed intently on the still slowly flowing black curtain of water in front of him. This weak water is a treasure. Su-han's foodie instincts were fully unleashed. He jumped off Wu Yixian's shoulder and staggered over to Ruoshui Jejia. Then, to Wu Yixian's astonishment, he opened his seemingly small mouth, devouring the heavens and earth. In an instant, an invisible suction force, seemingly capable of devouring everything, suddenly arose. Splash! The flowing weak water barrier, which had been in a stable state, was instantly broken, splitting into a thin stream of black water that Su-han continuously inhaled. Absorbing the weak water, demon power plus 0.01. Absorbed weak water, absorption rate plus 0.03. Absorbing the weak water, demon power plus 0.015. Absorbing weak water, absorption rate plus 0.02. At this moment, Su-han felt streams of pure and cold energy continuously flowing into his body and then being rapidly refined and absorbed. Demonic power, on the other hand, is steadily increasing. Wu Yixian, standing to the side, was completely stunned, silently watching as the weak water, one of the most potent poisons in the world, known for its ability to not float even a feather and to kill even a monarch-level beast tamer, was swallowed up by its seemingly harmless, silly fish like ordinary stream water. As a result, the weak water did not cause him any harm. On the contrary, he ate it with great relish. The scene was so impactful that Wu Yixian was momentarily at a loss for how to react. Should we be glad that our silly fish is so talented, or should we complain about the world and wonder if something is wrong with it? When did the weak water become drinking water? Since it was just a barrier, the entire process of devouring didn't last very long. In the blink of an eye, the weak water barrier that had originally enveloped the cave entrance and exuded a chilling aura had vanished without a trace. Hiccup. Su Han let out a burp, patted his not at all bulging belly, and smacked his lips with a lingering sense of satisfaction. Unfortunately, the amount is still too small, not enough to even fill a tooth gap. He then had a sudden thought and brought up his attribute panel.
Name, Su Han.
Race, kun-pan, juvenile. Rank, kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient fiends. Demon power, 4.5. Skill, dark demon roar cannon. Contractor, Wu Yixian, innate divine abilities, devouring heaven and earth. Kun-pan fighting technique, kun-pan nest, water strike of 3,000. Floating cloud technique. Talents, true dragon body, beginner. Cloud riding, golden azure dharma body, great strength, beginner. 8%, regeneration, not yet awakened. 5%, weak water domain, beginner. His demonic power has increased significantly, and he has even awakened a new talent. Su Han's eyes lit up, and his gaze quickly fell on his newly acquired talent. Weak water domain, a domain-type talent awakened through initial mastery of weak water. After expanding the domain, it can simulate the weak water environment within a certain range, prohibiting all flight. Is flying prohibited? Although this talent effect isn't particularly amazing, it can be surprisingly effective in certain situations. And most importantly, this was an unexpected surprise. Therefore, Su Han nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. This was a huge profit. Hey, you silly fish. At this moment, Wu Yixian's voice interrupted his reverie. You ate this entire barrier? Are you feeling unwell? Upon hearing this, Su Han glanced at her, then proudly raised her little head and jumped back onto her shoulder. I won't tell you, guess for yourself. You stingy person. Wu Yixian couldn't help but reach out and poke Su Han's soft belly. It's just that I didn't tell you about the Eternal Bliss sect before, you silly fish. You're quite vengeful. Su Han twisted his body to avoid her fingers, giving her a I don't want to talk to you look. Snort. Wu Yixian pouted. If you don't tell me, I don't want to know either. As she spoke, Wu Yixian composed herself, and her eyes sharpened again. Their gaze fell upon the deep, dark cave entrance, which radiated a red glow and heat. The barrier of the weak water has been broken, and the scene inside the cave is much clearer now. The faint red light seemed to come from deep underground, and the smell of sulfur in the air became even stronger. What exactly is hidden inside a place that needs the protection of a weak water barrier? Wu Yixian felt a mixture of curiosity and wariness. She took a deep breath, composed herself, and carefully stepped into the cave. Seeing this, Su Han temporarily suppressed his joy at gaining new abilities, sat on Wu Yixian's shoulder, and warily surveyed his surroundings with his eyes. His senses were far more acute than Wu Yixian's. He could clearly feel that the deeper he went, the more pronounced the scorching, life-filled aura became. The interior of the cave was much deeper and more spacious than it appeared from the outside. The passages wound downwards, and the rock walls were dark red and even a little hot to the touch. However, there seemed to be no traps. It was as if the weak water magic array was the only defense in the entire cave.
Now.
Wu Yixian and Su Han had been walking for about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. As they went deeper, the temperature inside the cave rose higher and higher, to the point that Su Han felt it was scorching hot. Just as Su Han was considering whether he should leave, after all, he didn't want to become grilled fish. Suddenly, after turning a corner, everything opened up before me. A huge underground cave appeared before them. In the center of the cave is a lava lake bubbling with gas, the intense heat distorting the air itself. In the center of the lava lake, there is a protruding black rock, and on the rock lies a giant egg that is half the height of a person. An egg? This is an egg, roughly the size of a human head, covered in strange red patterns. Wu Yixian's heart began to pound uncontrollably after just one glance, and her beautiful eyes instantly shone with an irrepressible light of surprise. She could clearly sense that the egg contained a vast and pure life energy. This energy is intense and powerful. Combined with fragmented memories from his previous life of powerful beasts with the Azure Phoenix bloodline, he could also recall them. It can't be wrong. It absolutely can't be wrong. This must be the beast egg with the bloodline of the Azure Phoenix. I never expected to find it here. Wu Yixian never expected that she would actually encounter such an incredible opportunity because of Su Han's finger. Overwhelmed with joy, she turned her head sharply and excitedly gave the silly fish on her shoulders several kisses. Silly fish, you're truly my lucky star. Wu Yixian knew very well that without her silly fish's guidance, she would never have been able to come to such a remote and secluded place. If it weren't for the bizarre ability of its own silly fish, which was so abnormal that it could even drink weak water as water. That weak water barrier will act like an insurmountable chasm, completely isolating her from the outside. Su Han was taken aback by Wu Yixian's sudden kiss, then wiped the spot where Wu Yixian had kissed her with her little wings with a look of disgust, her eyes full of contempt.
Pa.
You silly girl, what else can you do besides get me covered in your spit? Wu Yixian was completely immersed in the joy of about to obtain the top-tier second-ranked beast, and did not care at all about Su Han's disdain. All she wanted to do now was take this precious beast egg away as soon as possible. After all, it's not hard to tell from the weak water barrier at the cave entrance that this beast-taming egg definitely has an owner. As for why he's not here now, Wu Yixian had no idea. Only, Wu Yixian was somewhat troubled. With her current strength, she couldn't ignore the high temperature of the magma. The egg lay quietly on the black rock in the center of the lava lake, surrounded by churning, boiling, scorching lava. What should we do? Wu Yixian frowned as she looked at the churning crimson lava. The original owner of this beast-taming egg might return at any time, so she had to act quickly. TSK, what a useless idiot. When it really matters, I have to step in. Su Han listened to Wu Yixian's thoughts, pursed her lips, and then lightly leaped down from Wu Yixian's shoulder. Wu Yixian looked at Su Han, then curiously lowered her head. Silly fish, what are you going to do? Su Han didn't answer, but slowly walked towards the lava lake.
Hey.
You stupid fish, are you crazy? You're a fish. You'll become a grilled fish. Although Wu Yixian knew that her silly fish was extraordinary and was not even afraid of the weak water. But this is magma, which can flow, but it has absolutely nothing to do with water. She couldn't help but worry. After all, shouldn't fish be the most afraid of high temperatures? But the next second, under Wu Yixian's astonished gaze, a cloud of pure white mist suddenly and without warning gathered beneath Su Han's small body. They lifted him up slowly 3 feet off the ground, and he flew into the air. It was the innate skill that Su Han gained after absorbing the essence of the true dragon, soaring through the clouds. Flying. Wu Yixian's red lips parted slightly, large enough to fit a small egg. My silly fish can actually fly? And not only can it fly, but it can also soar through the clouds? Even Wu Yixian felt that her silly fish was now possessing an elegance and mystique that she could not describe. While Wu Yixian was marveling at the scene, Su Han had already ridden the white clouds beneath his feet and leisurely flew towards the black rock in the center of the lava lake. The high temperature from the magma, which was hot enough to melt steel, did not seem to have much of an effect on him. Soon, Su Han flew to the crimson bird egg. He stretched out his little wings and tried to hug the egg. However, the moment his little wings touched the eggshell, the egg seemed to sense the approach of an unfamiliar presence, and its body trembled violently. A scorching aura instinctively spread out, carrying a hint of resistance, as if warning Su-han, the uninvited guest. "Oh, you're quite stubborn." Su-han's small eyes narrowed instantly, revealing a hint of displeasure. Faced with the egg's resistance, it did not retreat. Instead, it pressed its small wings even closer together. At the same time, a faint but incomparably noble bloodline pressure, originating from the ancient 10 ferocious kun-pan, enveloped the egg. "Little guy, behave yourself. If you dare to move again, believe me, I'll boil you up and eat you. With some spices, maybe it'll taste pretty good." The threat was simple and crude, yet surprisingly effective. It's unclear whether the consciousness inside the egg was subdued by Su-han's bloodline pressure or intimidated by Su-han's threat to cook and eat it. In short, the egg's trembling stopped instantly, and the resisting heat receded like a tide, becoming incredibly docile. It also carried a subtle, almost imperceptible, hint of ingratiation. "Yosher, Wei Junjia, the Sisi Wuja." Su-han gave a satisfied hum, then used his two little wings to hug the egg, which was several times larger than him. Although its shape was somewhat comical, it flew back steadily. "Here, a human pet, take it." As Su-han spoke, he casually tossed the egg to Wu Yixian, who was still in a daze, and then scurried back to his reserved seat. Wu Yixian instinctively caught the heavy beast egg, which was radiating intense heat. Feeling the vibrant life force within it, she was overwhelmed with excitement. But she quickly looked down at Su-han, who had regained his languid demeanor and couldn't help but feel annoyed. "Silly fish. You can actually fly? But since you can fly, why do you insist on sitting here every day?" Su-han rolled her eyes at Wu Yixian. "Are you stupid, or am I stupid? It's so tiring to fly by yourself. You get a free mount. Isn't it comfortable to lie down?" As he spoke, Su-han rubbed against him, seemingly trying to find a more comfortable position. Wu Yixian was furious to see that she was being looked down upon by her own silly fish, and she was so angry that she gritted her teeth. But when she looked down at the priceless 9 nether phoenix's beast egg in her arms, and then thought about Su-han's behavior just now, all her anger instantly vanished, turning into helpless doting. Snort. She gave a soft snort and arrogantly raised her chin. "Considering you helped me get such a wonderful beast, I won't hold it against you this time. If you dare to look down on your master again, see how I'll punish you. Let's go, let's go. This place is not safe to stay." After saying that, Wu Yixian suppressed her excitement and carefully held the 9 nether phoenix's egg tightly. After confirming once again that nothing of value had been left behind in the cave, they immediately turned around, retraced their steps, and hurriedly left. "The opportunity has arrived. We must leave this place of trouble as soon as possible." Crickets as pets. Zhuke Ridge, a lava cave. About half an hour after Wu Yixian left with Su-han and the 9 nether phoenix's egg, 2 slightly flustered figures rushed to the entrance of the cave. The 2 were none other than the Xiao brothers, Xiao Bai and Xiao Imo, who had suddenly sensed something amiss with the weak water barrier halfway there and returned. Xiao Bai's face was still pale, and Xiao Imo was still supporting him, but without exception, both of them had extremely anxious expressions on their faces. However, as soon as they reached the cave entrance, the 2 stopped abruptly, their expressions freezing in disbelief. "Holy crap! Where's the barrier? Where's my massive weak water barrier?" Xiao Imo gasped in shock, his eyes fixed on the spot where the water curtain should have been at the cave entrance, which was now completely empty. Xiao Bai was also shocked and satisfied. Impossible. Although it's just a simplified version of the weak water barrier, unless you're a peak-level beast tamer, you absolutely can't break it. How could it possibly disappear? Suddenly, an extremely ominous premonition welled up in their hearts. They exchanged a glance instinctively, both seeing panic in each other's eyes. They could no longer care about anything else and rushed into the cave like madmen. They sped along, passing through a deep passage, and when the enormous lava cave came into view, their eyes immediately turned to the center of the cave. The lava is still churning, and the black rock still stands. But the crimson beast egg that should have been lying quietly on the black stone, nurturing the 9 nether phoenix, has disappeared. It's completely empty. The egg. Where's the egg? Where is our 9 nether phoenix egg? Who is it? Which damned thief dares to steal from our Xiao family, our Yi family's property? Xiao Bai's eyes instantly turned bloodshot, and he let out a shrill roar. But when he looked around, there was no one else in the cave except for his brothers. Brother, calm down. Xiao Emo was relatively calmer, but he clenched his fists tightly, his nails almost digging into his flesh, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Getting angry now is useless. We must find out who did it. Useless. You can't even handle this simple task. Just then, a cold voice suddenly rang out. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure dressed in gray, close-fitting clothes appeared silently at the cave entrance like a ghost and slowly walked in. His face was sinister, his eyes were sharp as an eagle's, and he exuded a powerful aura that was far beyond that of Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo. Upon seeing the newcomer, Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo were initially taken aback, then their faces showed expressions of astonishment. Lord Wang. Lord Wang? What are you doing here? Wang Yingyao snorted coldly, his gaze sweeping over the empty black rock, a fleeting hint of annoyance flashing in his eyes, but he quickly suppressed it, his tone laced with sarcasm. Humph. Do you think that the master would entrust such a precious beast as the 9 nether phoenix to just the two of you without any other arrangements? I've been secretly monitoring what's happening here. Hearing Wang Yingyao's words, Xiao Emo suppressed his anger and asked in a deep voice, Lord Wang, since you have been here the whole time, with your strength, why did this beast-taming egg go missing? Wang Yingyao's face was gloomy as he slowly uttered a name. Wu Yixian. Because it was her, the daughter of the Heavenly Frost King, was the one I was tasked with protecting. What could I do? If she had lost even a single hair because of me, we ants would consider death a blessing. Wu Yixian. Instantly, Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo fell silent, seemingly realizing that Wang Yingyao really couldn't be blamed. After all, although this is a desolate place, what if something unexpected happens to Wu Yixian? For Su Tianshuang, the first person in the East Sea province, the Frost King, do we need to gather evidence to kill these ants? Suspicion is enough to kill them. Then, Lord Wang, what should we do next? Are we just going to let it go like this? After a long while, Xiao Bai asked, unwilling to give up. Forget it? How could I? A cold glint flashed in Wang Yingyao's eyes. The plan has to be moved up. I estimate that the 9 nether phoenix will need at least 10 more days to hatch. You must kill Wu Yixian within these 10 days. Otherwise, once she successfully forms a contract with the 9 nether phoenix, given the potential of the Azure Phoenix bloodline, even if it's only at the initial stage of growth, her strength will definitely increase dramatically. At that time, you brothers will no longer be a match for her. But Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo were somewhat worried. After all, they knew Wu Yixian's strength. A level 4 Beastmaster and a level 4 monster. Although there were 2 of them, the brothers were only level 3 beast tamers and were no match for Wu Yixian. After all, if there really was a possibility of killing Wu Yixian, why would Yi Tian have prepared the 9 nether phoenix for them and made them form a contract? Wang Yingyao looked at the worried Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo with cold and cruel eyes. Now, only the Bai family's blood explosion pill remains. Blood explosion pill? Upon hearing this name, Xiao Bai and Xiao Mo's expressions changed drastically. Blood explosion pill is a type of pill that can forcibly stimulate a beast tamer's blood and qi, allowing the beast tamer to gain power far exceeding their own level in a short period of time. But with every gain comes a loss. Since the blood explosion pill is so powerful, the price to pay for taking it is naturally extremely high. It will severely damage the foundation of the beast tamer and may even cut off the path to future advancement. Xiao Bai and Xiao Emo wanted to refuse, but before they could say anything, they already understand. Now that the 9 nether phoenix has been lost, they either have to kill Wu Yixian or face punishment from the Yi family. They had long since run out of choices. In that instant, The thought of their foundations potentially being destroyed twisted Xiao Bai and Xiao Mo's faces, their eyes filled with crazed killing intent and resentment, and they practically spat out 3 words through clenched teeth. Martial arts, also immortal. I will not be able to quell the hatred in my heart until I have torn you to pieces. Outside Donghai City, Wu Yixian looked at the city gate not far away and breathed a long sigh of relief. I'm finally back. She patted the 9 nether phoenixes' taming beast egg wrapped in cloth at her waist, looked down at Su Han, and spoke with a hint of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Silly fish. I thought something unexpected might happen on the way back. I didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Su Han nodded. He was also somewhat surprised. After all, when he entered Juke Ridge, he realized that Juke Ridge was definitely not simple, and there was also that monk from the Wanshurjile sect, which made him feel uneasy ever since. Su Han had a feeling that things wouldn't just end like that. Unexpectedly, he and Wu Yixian actually walked out of Juke Ridge unharmed. Strange. Very strange. While Su Han was pondering, Wu Yixian had already led him to the city gate, preparing to enter the city. But the next second, Wu Yixian's pupils suddenly contracted, and she saw at the city gate a monk dressed in a strange white robe embroidered with a single black eye stood inside the city, looking at her with compassion. This was a face that Wu Yixian had never seen before. It was not the one she had encountered in Juke Ridge. But judging from his attire, a white robe embroidered with a single black eye, exuding an indescribable eeriness and malevolence, it was immediately apparent. He was also a member of the Eternal Bliss cult. People say Luoyang is a brocade of flowers, but this humble monk has come when spring has not arrived. A soft, melancholic sigh of compassion rang in Wu Yixian's ears, carrying a hint of regret, but more so a chilling coldness that sent shivers down her spine. People say Luoyang is a riot of flowers, but I came when spring was not in full bloom. What does that mean? Wu Yixian was puzzled. But when she looked again, the city gate was empty, and the monk was nowhere to be seen. It all seemed like an illusion. But Wu Yixian was certain that she had not misread anything. Have they entered the city, or have they left? Wu Yixian scanned her surroundings with sharp eyes, but found nothing. Su Han looked in the direction where the monk had disappeared, and he vaguely felt that the monk had probably entered the city. As expected of my silly girl, she's a reincarnated person. She always seems to cause trouble wherever she goes. The Eternal Bliss cult, its ghosts never leave. Su Han shook his head. On the way home, Wu Yixian and Su Han both fell silent. The strange scene at the city gate earlier dampened their joy at obtaining the 9 nether phoenix beast egg, and a shadow fell over their hearts. Until the door is closed. With a leap, Su Han accurately jumped back into his fish tank, splashing a few drops of water. Upon hearing the sound of water entering the water, Wu Yixian finally came to her senses. Forget it. Things will naturally get straight once I leave Chengdu. She sighed softly, then carefully took out the 9 nether phoenix's beast egg, which was wrapped in cloth at her waist, and placed it on the table. Lifting the cloth, the crimson egg lay quietly, its surface shimmering and radiating a faint warmth. Looking at the 9 nether phoenix beast egg, which was enough to drive countless beast tamers mad, Wu Yixian's eyes flashed with excitement again, temporarily putting the matter of the Eternal Bliss sect out of his mind. I'm about to advance to level 5 Beastmaster, at which point I can contract a second beast. But how do I hatch it? I'm about to be promoted to level 5 Beastmaster, and then I can contract my second beast. Wu Yixian stroked the shell of the 9 nether phoenix's egg, feeling the incredibly vibrant life force within it. But how do we hatch it? Sit on it and incubate it. Su Han was blowing bubbles in the water. You silly fish. Wu Yixian seemed to understand Su Han's meaning and rolled her eyes at him. This isn't an egg. After saying that, Wu Yixian carefully recalled the situation in the cave. Before, in the lava cave, it hatched by absorbing the essence of earth fire. I can't exactly dig a lava pool at home, can I? So it seems. Thinking it over, Wu Yixian turned her gaze to Su Han in the fish tank. Come on, Silly fish. Let's go to the black market again. In addition to obtaining the 9 nether phoenix's beast egg during this trip to Vermilion Bird Ridge, Wu Yixian also killed a mist demon. She planned to sell the materials she had collected from the mist demon, and then buy some fire tribute crystal cores to hatch the 9 nether phoenix, and buy some fish food for your silly fish, and treat him. After all, without her own silly fish, how could she have had such an amazing harvest? Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, Su Han's eyes lit up. After all, he had gained the golden azure Dharma body talent after swallowing the azure lion during his last trip to the black market. I wonder if there will be any other gains this time? Thinking it over, Su Han scurried back to her assigned seat. Asshole. Feeling the cold water in front of her, Wu Yixian lightly tapped Su Han's forehead in annoyance. Didn't you shake off the water before coming up? It's freezing cold. Next time for sure. Su Han gave a perfunctory reply, his mind already wandering to the black market. The black market in the southern suburbs of Donghai City. As always, this place was a chaotic mix of people, bustling with noise and commotion. People in all sorts of strange costumes wandered through the narrow alleyways, and the stalls displayed all sorts of odd and unusual items, some legitimate and some illegal. The air was filled with the scents of herbs, magical beast materials, and a faint, almost imperceptible stench of blood. Wu Yixian easily found a shop that bought and sold monster materials and sold the Mist Demon's crystal core, Mist Source, and other materials in exchange for 8,000 gold crystals. Silly fish. I'm going to buy crystal cores first. If you see any monsters you want to eat on the way, tell me, understand? Wu Yixian lowered her head and spoke to Su Han. Su Han nodded. Upon seeing this, Wu Yixian headed towards a shop that specialized in selling elemental crystal cores. Upon entering the store, Wu Yixian went straight to the point. Boss, how much are the fire tribute crystal cores? The shop owner, a lean middle-aged man, glanced at Wu Yixian and said slowly, It depends on what quality you want. We have everything from level 1 to level 9, and the prices range from tens to thousands of gold crystals. Wu Yixian thought for a moment, then realized that the 9 nether phoenix beast egg required pure fire tribute energy to hatch. After a quick estimate, she said, Boss, give me 20 level 3 fire attribute crystal cores. 2,000 gold crystals. After paying, Wu Yixian took the package of red crystal cores that radiated warm energy and put them into her storage ring. She estimated that this should be enough, since she hadn't officially advanced to level 5 beast tamer yet, so there was no rush to hatch the animals. She could take her time. And Su Han. While Wu Yixian was making her transaction, he used his little wings to wedge the zipper and looked up curiously at the various strange magical beasts kept in cages in the surrounding shops. There are the crimson flame rats that spit out sparks, the armored rhinoceroses whose shells gleam with a metallic sheen, and the phantom birds with their vibrant plumage and piercing cries. However, after looking around for a while, Su Han frowned slightly. He discovered that many of the beasts around him, though appearing quite mystical and possessing considerable power, but none of them could evoke his kun-pan bloodline's instinctive desire to devour, like the azure lion had before. Wu Yixian noticed Su Han's unusual behavior and asked softly, What's wrong? You've been looking for so long, and nothing suits your taste. Su Han nodded. These things don't look very appetizing. Su Han speculated that among these tamed beasts, there must be some with innate talents, but those talents might need to be combined with a tamed beast's own special physique or abilities to be fully utilized.
For him, it was like a chicken rib.
Naturally, this would not arouse the kun-pan bloodline's urge to devour. What he was looking for was an innate talent that could directly enhance his basic abilities or bring him special abilities. Looking at Su Han's somewhat picky expression, Wu Yixian recalled Su Han's crucial role in the trip to Zhuke Ridge. Alright, considering you're the biggest contributor to the victory at Vermilion Bird Ridge, I'll go all out today. Walk. With that, Wu Yixian led Su Han deeper into the black market, into areas that were even darker and sparser in number. Where to go? Su Han looked at Wu Yixian and couldn't help but ask. Looking at Su Han, who was full of curiosity and blowing bubbles. Wu Yixian understood that he was asking her a question. However, she didn't answer directly, but instead kept it a secret, saying, "You'll know when you get there. Hopefully I won't get ripped off too badly today. My precious money." Wu Yixian's face was full of pain. So mysterious. Su Han muttered something to himself and stopped asking questions. The further you go, the dimmer the light becomes, and the shops on both sides are no longer open stalls, but small houses with heavy wooden doors or iron railings. Occasionally, people with powerful auras and fierce eyes would come and go. Everyone looked at Wu Yixian with scrutinizing eyes when they saw her unfamiliar face. Finally, Wu Yixian stopped in front of an inconspicuous, even somewhat dilapidated, wooden door. There was no sign on the door, only a blurry, eerie ancient seal script that looked as if it had been scratched with a fingernail. "Call." Wu Yixian took a deep breath, raised her hand, and gently knocked on the wooden door in a specific rhythm. Thump, 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 thump. The knocking echoed clearly in the quiet alleyway. A moment later, the wooden door creaked open a crack. A pair of cloudy yet sharp eyes swept over Wu Yixian from behind the door, then narrowed slightly. "Who are you looking for?" A hoarse, broken gong-like voice rang out. Upon hearing this, Wu Yixian lowered her voice and gave a name. "Introduced by Grey Rat, who wants to see live goods." The eyes behind the door glanced at Wu Yixian a few more times, as if trying to confirm something. After a while, the wooden door was fully opened, revealing a gap just wide enough for one person to pass through. "Come in," the hoarse voice said. "You all know the rules, right? Just look, don't ask where it came from. Once you've placed your bet, that's it." Wu Yixian nodded, tightened her collar to make sure Su Han wouldn't fall out, and then stepped sideways into the dark wooden door. The door closed gently behind me, shutting out all the noise from the outside world. Inside the door was a dimly lit passageway leading downwards, filled with a strange odor that mixed the smells of mold, blood, and some kind of herb. Su Han could sense that Wu Yixian's heartbeat quickened slightly, indicating that she was not entirely familiar with or at ease in this place. But at the same time, he also felt a strong sense of anticipation. After all, this place is so secluded. How could we not get something out of it? Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. The passageway was not long, and at the end was a slightly ajar, much heavier iron gate. The crack in the door exuded an even stronger stench of blood, and a wild aura mingled with that of various magical beasts, along with faint low roars, sharp hisses, and the rattling sound of chains being dragged. Wu Yixian pushed open the iron gate, and the scene before her eyes suddenly opened up. This is a much larger underground space than imagined, like a hollowed-out mountain belly. A few roots hang down from the top, and the surrounding area is full of jagged rocks. The space was divided into individual cages by thick iron bars, most of which were covered with black cloth, making it impossible to see what was inside. Only a few were open, revealing strange, monstrous beasts inside, some listless, some restless. However, the aura of these magical beasts was far stronger than that of those on the stalls outside, but they were also much more violent. The rule is, look, don't ask where it came from. Once you've placed your bet, you're done. The person who opened the door repeated the question in a hoarse voice. After saying that, he silently retreated into the shadows of the corner, becoming one with the darkness. Wu Yixian nodded to indicate that she understood, and then walked slowly down the narrow passage between the cages. Su Han also raised his head, carefully sensing the aura emanating from each cage. Some cages emitted the scorching heat of subterranean fire, while others were icy cold, and still others were filled with a pungent, sweet smell of poison. These magical beasts were undoubtedly extremely special and powerful, and the energy fluctuations emitted by some of them even made Wu Yixian feel a chill. However, as Su Han looked around, he could sense the extraordinary nature of these magical beasts. But that intense, primal urge to devour, which originated deep within his bloodline, never materialized. These talents may be powerful, but they don't seem to perfectly match his growth path as a kun-pan. Just as they were about to reach the end, and Wu Yixian was beginning to consider whether to give up, Su Han's gaze suddenly fixed on an extremely inconspicuous, even somewhat dilapidated, cage in the corner. The cage wasn't covered by a black cloth, but its location was secluded and dimly lit, making it easy to miss. The moment Su Han looked over, his whole body stiffened abruptly, and then an unprecedented feeling of hunger surged from the bottom of his heart. It was 10 times, 100 times stronger than when I felt the azure lion in the black market before. Even that drop of true dragon blood had never given him such a strong desire. For a moment, Su Han's gaze was fixed on the creature in the cage. It was a small beast, about the size of a house cat, resembling a tiger in appearance, with extremely peculiar fur that clearly distinguished 2 colors from its head to the tip of its tail. Half of it was snow-white, like the purest light, exuding a gentle and holy aura. The other half is pitch black, like an eternal abyss, swirling with deep and eerie fluctuations. These 2 diametrically opposed and mutually exclusive attributes have achieved a strange balance and harmony in it. It lay quietly in the cage, its heterochromatic eyes, 1 gold and 1 silver, half open and half closed, its breath barely a thread. That's it. Su Han could barely control himself. His little wings excitedly flapped against Wu Yixian's evil, conveying an extremely strong will. Wu Yixian also sensed Su Han's unprecedented excitement, and she followed Su Han's gaze. When she saw the strange little beast that was half black and half white, a look of amazement flashed in her eyes. Even with her extensive knowledge, she couldn't recognize the origin of this magical beast at all. Just then, the hoarse voice came from the shadows again. "Little girl, you have good eyesight. This light and dark tiger is one of our most prized possessions this time. Originally, I planned to send it to Liju City for auction, but since you want it, I can make an exception and sell it to you." As he spoke, the old man slowly stepped out of the shadows. "Light and darkness tiger?" Wu Yixian murmured, repeating the name repeatedly. She had never heard of it before. "Good." The old man nodded and explained, "This is an extremely rare, mutated magical beast that almost only exists in ancient books and legends. It simultaneously embodies the purest light and darkness, these 2 conflicting fundamental attributes. In the entire Donghai city, no. In the entire Donghai province, I dare say you would never find a second one. Its rarity is evident." Upon hearing the old man's words, Su Han suddenly understood. He finally understood why he was so hungry and so eager to devour the light and dark tiger. "Okay, I'll take it." Readily. Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, the old man smiled slightly, his voice still hoarse. "One price, 100,000 gold crystals." 100,000? Having heard the old man's introduction about the light and dark nether tiger, Wu Yixian was already prepared to spend a lot of money. But when she heard the old man's price, she couldn't help but gasp. Now, all she has is less than 10,000 gold crystals. 100,000 gold crystals. That's an astronomical number. At this moment, Wu Yixian really wanted to say to her silly fish, "You'd be better off eating me than eating it." Upon hearing Wu Yixian's thoughts, Su Han immediately became anxious. The urge to devour him, he felt, was so intense. This light and dark tiger contained something of vital importance to him. It might be some kind of primordial fragment that could greatly enhance his abilities or bring new talents. He absolutely cannot miss this opportunity. Su Han shook his head frantically and, unusually eagerly, bit Wu Yixian's cheek. "The meaning is obvious. You have to buy it." Wu Yixian was taken aback by Su Han's unprecedented action. After all, in her impression, her silly fish was very reliable in critical moments. But in his daily life, he either complains or gives up. He has never appeared so eager. Thinking it over, she looked down at the strange light and dark tiger in the cage, and then felt Su Han's unprecedented longing. She understood. This beast is probably very important to my silly fish. Since that's the case. Without the slightest hesitation, Wu Yixian looked directly at the old man in front of her. "Boss, you should know me." Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, a glint of light flashed in the old man's cloudy eyes. He nodded, his tone calm yet knowing. I know. Who in the upper echelons of East Sea City doesn't know that the daughter of the Heavenly Frost King has personally offered to protect someone? He paused. After all, if I accidentally hurt you, I would be facing the wrath of an unparalleled monarch. When a king is enraged, millions will die and rivers of blood will flow. This is no joke. Wu Yixian nodded. This was precisely the source of her confidence in bringing Su Han to the black market to sell materials. In the East Sea Province, a king-level powerhouse is a taboo subject, a symbol of invincibility. No one can challenge you. Even running away is a pipe dream. Boss, Wu Yixian took a deep breath and said, I really want this light and dark nether tiger. But I only have 10,000 gold crystals on me right now. Can I buy the remaining 90,000 on credit? I guarantee with my reputation that I will repay the principal and interest within half a month.
How?
Buy on credit, the old man said, his eyes narrowing slightly as he tapped lightly on the cold iron bars beside him, making a soft tap, tap sound.